Hi and welcome to Woodcock Road Brewery's YouTube channel. Tip number 2 on brewing. And this is one of those questions that is a lot on forums and otherwise, and it's what should I invest in first? Now, I'm kind of assuming with that you've got a brewer and you've got a fermenter, because naturally you've got to have those to make beer. And what would be my first investment? And to be quite honest, it's this one's really close, but I've gone with the refrigeration. It was a tight race between cooling, better chiller, and refrigeration. So personally, I do both at the same time. Refrigeration as number 1 because it gives you the opportunity to control the fermentation, which by and large is probably the most important part of beer making. That's the brewer makes sugar and the yeast makes beer, and the yeast is active during fermentation, so that would be my number 1. What you need is a fridge, and I've got 3 fridges in the brew house. One is dedicated, which is the one you've seen here, with the Woodcock Road logo on it, and also some advertising there for Öltid. That's dedicated to fermenting, and it is controlled by one of these units right here, an ITC. So this has a temperature probe that is going into my fermenter through a thermo well in the fermenter. It's got one connection for heating and one connection for cooling. Cooling is of course to the fridge, and heating is to a heat plate which is in the fermenting room. And what this will do is it will keep a steady temperature. So if your recipe calls for ferment this at 19 degrees for 14 days, then you can keep it at 19 degrees for 14 days. If you're putting it in a room which you think is cold and there's variations, or you've by accident taken it down to the bathroom and forgot to switch off the floor heating, which has happened here, and the yeast goes ballistic, that gives you a totally different beer and can produce off flavors and fusional alcohols which give you massive headaches. I'm so unfortunate that I'm quite sensitive to higher alcohol, so it doesn't take a lot for me to get one of these blistering headaches that you think you're going to die and just want to curl up on the corner and do precisely that. Which up until beer brewing has been a massive issue, but after I started up with this, I found it to be actually a bit of a benefit, because I can detect that very easily in beer, and I don't want that in mine. So for me, fridge, never gonna go back to just room fermenting ever. The second would be, the close call with that was with the chiller. I'm so lucky I've got a Grainfather, but before that I've had various cheaper chillers, and I think my standing record for cooling down even with an immersion chiller was like 2 hours. So I was brewing for 5 maybe 4, let's say 4. Then I had 2 hours cooling down, and then you have to wash all the gear, so of course naturally your brew day becomes quite long, and a rapid chilling is also quite important for cold breaking, for getting proteins out and so on, which again aids fermentation, which again gets you better quality beer. So I'm split in first place for that one, but I think the fridge just about nudges it for simply being more critical to the beer becoming what the recipe said it was going to be. You can chill down in a fridge. I've heard people that just put the pot in the fridge, put a lid on, and then say, okay, when it's 16 degrees, I'll dump it into a fermenter and pitch my yeast, which is fine, but you don't get to clean up until that's done, and it's a multi-step operation, and it's one of those things where, from a quality perspective, you want the fridge, but if you start putting in the brew day factor to it, I mean, I got a grain father which has a counterflow, which is pretty effective, but I've upgraded that with a killer immersion chiller from Jaded Brewing called Hydra, and that chills down from 100 degrees to 20 degrees in like 5 minutes, and I'm done. I mean, this thing is a monster. And that has massively impacted my brew day. I mean, I can get up in the morning, get the brew day done, and I love doing that. A cup of coffee. I've got a Woodcock Road coffee mug that I use when I'm doing my brewing. And I'm basically done by get up at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5.5, 6 hours. You're done. You're washed. It's in the ferment, in the fridge, all connected up with the brew father and the tilt, and I can enjoy the rest of the day. And that compression of brew day has been huge. It really, really has. So a bit split, and I appreciate that I'm sending a bit of a mixed message here, but I would definitely have started with the refrigeration, because it gives you so many options. Then you can start making pilsners, lagers, so a few styles. It's like winning a level on a video game. New levels appear and you're like, yeah, I want to make that. So that's probably where I'd start. Then followed up very, very tightly with a upgrade on the chiller, just for the impact that has on your brew day and the added quality that you get out of that. So not necessarily a brew tip, but then again it is a brew tip, because a lot of people, I can tell, are asking that question, and that's my take on it, basically. So all to their own, I suppose, but hope that was valuable for you, and subscribe and like and follow and all that stuff, and enjoy International Beer Day. I am getting there. Blonde ale in the glass. Still maturing this one, so verdict not out yet, but yep, see you later.